Hello, my name is Joao Vendramini, and I'm a Ford specialist at the University of Florida. And today you have a guest, Mr. Rick Hartman, to talk to us today about the experience that he has with leasing land for beef cattle production. Uh, Rick, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your experience with running beef cattle on leased lands?
Yeah, my name is Rick Hartman. I'm in South Florida. We have leases in Martin and St. Lucie County, Martin and Glades County. We've been leasing land for probably going close to 20 years. The advantages is for someone like myself that didn't come from a ranching background and his family does not own any ground, that we can get into the beef industry, which is, kind of a passion for myself and my family.
Mhm.
Got two sons that are actively involved. Um, so we've got three different leases. We've leased property from state agencies and private individuals, and they both have their pitfalls and both of them have their advantages. So that's what we're doing. And we're a
Okay.
cow-calf operation.
And Rick, if you have to mention what will be the biggest limitation, regardless of who is leasing the land to you, what do you think will be the main concerns that you have?
The biggest limitation is you can't plan too far in the future, where if you own the land and you want to build a fence, you're looking at a 10 to 15 year horizon for it to pay back. Same way with any kind of pasture renovation, you've got that long horizon for a payback. With lease, you don't know. All the leases that we have a 180-day kickout clause, which means they can cancel the lease in 180 days and we've got to be gone. And, so you got to be careful where you spend your money. That's
And
probably the biggest.
I see. And if you have to think about going in the same route there, if you have to think about the things that will be really important to include in that contract, right? When you get a new lease, what do you think are the things that you will really pay attention to it?
Well, the number one thing is price. I mean, I've seen leases that people have signed that there's no way they're paying so much money on an animal unit basis. There's no way they can make that work. Except that these prices we have today, they can. So price is always, a guy told me one time, what's the number one thing in making money in the cow business is price of calves. All the rest of it doesn't matter. They can get too cheap where nobody make money, and they can get too high where any fool can make money. So don't let yourself get put into that position. The second thing is that exit clause. How much time do you have to get out? 30 days, you only got 30 days to get out of a lease, and you have to have your cows off in 30 days. You're going to get waxed because somebody will take advantage of that. So the longer your kickout clause is, the better. The other thing is liability. You want to really limit your liability, make sure that you're covered on a liability policy and that that the landowner is covered on a liability insurance policy. So because you're going to have, somebody's going to get hurt sometime. So those are the financial side. The other one is trying to figure out how many animal units can you run, because I've got leases that are a flat rate and I've got leases that are an animal unit rate. And I don't care which one, because it all boils back to how many cows will the place that you're leasing hold. So it doesn't matter how you come up with a number, just make sure that you're not overpaying for an animal unit basis.
And Rick, on the length of the lease, is that an important factor for you to consider as well?
Absolutely, the longer the better. I mean, but there again, nobody's going to give you an open-ended lease. It's that kickout clause to give yourself time to get out in a timely fashion that works for both of you, that you're not in a pinch.
Yeah, with these high prices of cattle, I think people can make it work, right? If you have one more calf crop, you can get some money. So if you have 1 year, 2 years, that's fine. But do
Yeah.
you think that when you're gonna set up a new one, looking at this cattle cycle and everything, prices will go up and down? would you consider like 10 years or 5 years will be sufficient for you to take the risk?
5 years. Well, right now with prices where they are, I don't think this is a good time to get in the cow business. And that's the problem with leasing land, that everybody in the country thinks, cows are making a lot of money right now, so let's get in the cow business. And they will bid up for these leases. And then in 2-3 years or next year, who knows, when prices go down, all of a sudden they can't make any money, and they'll end up raping the property because they can't, they'll overstock it, they'll find any way they can to get another calf out of it, and that's not good for the landowner, and it's certainly not good for the beef producer. So you get that 5-year lease, the longer the better. If you can get a 10-year lease, that's even better. But it doesn't matter that any lease you sign is going to have a kickout clause. I keep coming back to that because if you get pinched and you've got to get out in 30 days, the vultures will circle and somebody will buy those calves at a discount, those cows at a discounted price.
And Rick, the last thing here is when you have to make improvements in the land, right? So is that including the contract? How do you deal with that? So if you have to do weed control, if you have to redo fences or, redo the cow pens or ditches, whatever. So how do you deal with those improvements and with the person that leases the land for you?
Well, we've got one lease that the people that own the property, they'll help you with a perimeter fence, but almost nobody is going to help you with internal fencing. That's up to you. You've got to maintain it. You've got to do it. External fences is good for the landowner to be involved with that because that's where his liability comes in. You get cows out on the highway, they're not only going to sue the cow owner, they're going to sue the landowner. So it behooves both of them to have an agreement on that perimeter fence, that somebody is taking good care of that perimeter fence. As far as improvements on the land with the lease, like I said earlier, you can't do a whole lot when you only got a 5-year payback. There are government programs through EQIP and USDA and NRCS that help you do those kind of things. And you want the landowner to understand that if you apply for this and you get the money to do those improvements, spraying, fencing, those kind of things, that money goes to you, not to the landowner. But the landowner does have to sign off on those. So you want that in there. And the main thing is the lease. If the lease is more than 4 or 5 pages long, you better have a lawyer read it. I mean, I've seen leases that were written by a Philadelphia lawyer, I think, and it just really tied your hands and put all the power in the landowner, and you don't want to get yourself in that situation. So if it gets very complicated, don't be afraid to spend $400 or $500 to get a good attorney to look at it and tell you what you're signing.
Yeah, that's really good advice, because I think that is the main constraint, I think, that we heard about the people getting the leases is sometimes they have a complicated contract and nobody can understand. So then you need to make sure that when you get in, you know what's going to get, right?
Yeah, we saw Leased, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, more than that, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, that the state agency changed it where we were liable for the state agency's employees when they came on our property. I mean, on the property we had leased, and it's like, wait a minute, they're working for you and we're supposed to oversee? No, I don't think so. So, that's not common, but like I say, if it's more than 4 or 5 pages long, you better get an attorney to tell you what you're looking at.
That sounds good. And Rick, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the information.
You bet. Anybody has any questions, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.